Hello, Libras, and welcome to this, your May 15th through May 31st card reading and psychic energies. We're going to have a look at what's coming up for you for the last half of May 2023. If you are returning, thank you so much for continuing to support my channel. And for those of you who are new here, a very warm welcome. For those of you who are new here, I work with several tarot decks as well as oracle card decks. I pull all of the cards at the beginning of the reading, and I do leave all of the cards sitting face down so that as I'm going through your reading, I'm able to allow more of the intuitive and psychic energies to come in rather than me being unduly influenced or pre-influenced by being able to see what's coming up in your reading. And I find that this is effective because it gives the reading some more weight. For those of you who are returning, you might notice that my background has changed again. My son and I, as I mentioned in some of my recent videos, we're in the process of moving, and we have decided to go full on nomadic. We are currently in Medicine Hat, Alberta, and this background has been provided by my cousin who lives here. This is his man cave, and he's allowed me to record my videos here this month. So there may be some unusual noises that you might hear. My cousin is on call, and so he does have radios set up all around his property in case there is an emergency call that comes in. And as well, it is a working farm, so there may be some unusual noises. Let's get going, Libra. Let's have a look at where you are at now. We're also, for those of you who are new, we look at where you're at now. We look at what you're focusing on. We look at some difficult influences. We look at unexpected influences and insights. We look at a card that makes sense, and we look at the outcome. Okay. Libra, where are the Libras at now here mid-May as I record this video? Okay. We had one fly out. And for those of you who are new here, you'll also know that or see that I work with flipped out cards, cards that jump out rather than actually pulling cards. And I find that in a lot of ways and in a lot of cases, the cards know better than we do. So I don't actually pull cards unless I go through a deck 2 or 3 times and nothing decides to come out. Okay. What are you focusing on? I'm getting called in 2 different directions here, Libra. All right. What are the Libras focusing on for May 15th through the 31st? Okay. We have probably about 12 cards that have come out here. So when that happens, I like to collect up all of the cards that have come out and give them a quick shuffle and see if we can reduce this down. All right, let's see here. What is meant to come out for Libra with regards to, okay, there's one. Is there anything else that the Libras are focusing on? I'm going to go through this one more time, go sideways. Is there anything else that Libra is focusing on? Yeah. Okay. So we have 2 focus cards here for you. The next thing that we're going to look at is difficult influences. Difficult influences for Libra, last half of May 2023. 2 cards that have jumped out for you. Is there anything else for Libra in difficult influences? Doesn't appear to be. Whoops, we almost dropped the whole deck on the ground. That would not have been fun. Okay. All right. The next card that we're going to pull is a card that just makes sense. Now, the cards that just make sense, card or cards that just make sense, are cards that either confirm other things that are happening by way of pulling the reading together, or the cards that just make sense are cards that have identical meanings to another card in your reading, thus reinforcing or giving you that double je ne sais quoi of, letting you know that that particular energy is really important in the reading. So where are we going for this makes sense? Over here to the fairy deck. This makes sense for Libra, last half of May 2023, and that one is definitely on the floor. Is there anything else that just makes sense for the Libras? Card of just makes sense. Is there anything else? Okay. All right. I am just going to pause this for a moment because it's difficult to get down to the floor. I'm on a high chair here. Okay, sorry about that. As I've mentioned before, what you see is what you get when you watch one of my videos. I am authentic. I do not edit my videos, as you can tell, as I stumble over my own tongue and my mouth. So yeah, I do apologize for that. Okay. Next card that we're going to pull is going to be a card or cards of unexpected insights and influences. Unexpected insights and influences for the Libras last half of May. All right. So that card and those cards. Okay. And the last cards that we're going to pull for you, Libra, are going to be the cards of your general overall outcome. Now, the general overall outcome are cards that are pulled with the intention of predicting or projecting where you're going to be and what energies will be influencing you at the end of the month. General overall outcome for Libra for end of May 2023. All right. We've got this card. This card wanted to come out, and we've got two more here that. Right. Let's have a look at the cards that came out for where you're at now. All right, Libra, you've got the wise leader. You are a beacon for others, and you've got great adventure. Take a risk and venture forward. These two cards actually work really, really well together for you, Libra, because in order to be a wise leader, you do have to go on grand adventures. You have to have had experiences and take a few risks in order to be a leader. I know that one of the complaints that many people have nowadays, particularly people who are above the age of 30, 35, 40, one of the complaints they have is that it's very, very difficult to be in a situation where you end up with a new boss who is perhaps in their mid-20s, who has very little in the way of life experience. Now, they may have a very, very good education from a very, very good institution with wonderful reputation, but some of what they may be lacking is some of the life experiences. And some of the life experiences can make them a better manager. And so these two cards for you, Libra, are indicating that you are in that place where you are wizened in your career, but also in the decisions that you make. And because you've had some great adventures, you've taken some risks. And so you have that knowledge and understanding. It's one of those things where a lot of people say that as we age, we become more patient. And although it appears that as we age, we become more patient, what is actually happening is we are gaining an insight into how the world works on a much deeper level. And as we do so, there's less of that chance to jump to conclusions, which causes us to act with impatience, for example. So this is actually indicating that you are coming from that good place right now where people are going to look up to you, and they're going to look up to you because you do have that experience and that knowledge right now, Libra. And as much as I said something about, having a manager that's in their 20s to somebody who is perhaps working under that manager who's in their 40s, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm not indicating that at all. So, but what I am saying, Libra, is that people who are in their 20s bring new insights to the table, and perhaps their education was a little bit different and there's new science or something like that that they can bring to the table. But one of the things that they cannot bring to the table is life experiences. And it's those life experiences that bring us patience, that bring us the ability to make decisions from a place of internal experienced knowledge. And that's really what these two cards are saying, Libra, is for the vast majority of you, this is the place that you're in, regardless of your age, where people are looking up to you, people are asking you for advice. And the reason that they're doing that is because you do have great adventures under your belt. The other thing that I will say is that when I first turned over the Great Adventure card, the other thing I picked up is that I think that there's probably going to be some kind of new adventure and shift in your life in the very, very near future for you, Libra, with this Great Adventure card coming out, where you're going to be asked to come out of your comfort zone. And I want to say that probably what's going to happen is if you don't come out of your comfort zone voluntarily, you're probably going to be forced out of your comfort zone at some point in the near future. Let me just tap in here. The number 3 is coming up really strongly. So that could be within 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months, where there's going to be a change or a shift that's going to force you to take some kind of risk in order to move your life forward. In your focus right now, you are focusing on the oak tree and ancestors and focusing upon the past and learning from the past. And it's interesting that what came up for me here was that, past knowledge helps us to become more well-rounded, wise leaders, right? And part of what you're focusing on here is the ancestors, the oak tree, and learning from the past. Now, that doesn't mean that you are living in the past. This does not mean that you're focusing on the past with that yearning to want to go back to the past and live that way. But you're looking at the past going, okay, what didn't resonate properly? What didn't work in the past? How can we change that and adapt that for the future? That's the sense I'm getting for this card for you, Libra. The other card that you have right now is water and lifeblood. And what this tells me is some of what you're experiencing right now and some of what you're working towards changing is coming down to a certain degree, survival and looking at changes that can be made in order to make your life and the life of those around you more sustainable. Now, I'm not talking about how do I put this so that there are no flags in my video? When I'm talking about being more sustainable, I'm not talking about this agenda, shall we say, wherein there is this there's an agenda right now. In order to spread some knowledge that is not based in fact about the way that things are changing, including the way that our weather patterns are changing. The reality is that what we've done hasn't really affected some of what's happening. Do we need to be more sustainable? Yes. Have we abused our planet in some ways? Yeah, some of us are pretty wasteful. Have we, as a direct result of our actions, caused a significant change or shift? The earth has certain cycles that she goes through. Okay. Some of what we have done, however, has affected the lifeblood, being this. Okay. Life as we know it on this planet cannot exist without water, clean water. Not salt water, not dirty, contaminated water. We require water. It is our lifeblood. And so we do need to protect that. And I sense that there is an aspect of that coming up for you right now, Libras, where you're looking at ways to be more sustainable, particularly when it comes to water. I'm actually picking up that there's several of you that are going to watch the video that may be being affected detrimentally at the moment by water. And so that's why it's so important for you to find ways to change the way that water is used in our modern lives. Yeah. That may be one of the reasons why you're exploring the past here, Libra. Okay, let's look at your difficult influences right now. Interesting. Okay, you've got the 10 of Wands in reverse. Now, I can tell you, Libra, that I've recorded a number of the other zodiac signs for the last half of May, and you are at least the second, maybe even the third sign to have the 10 of Wands come out in reverse. Unusual. This is a card indicating that you are currently burdened by something. Something is weighing you down. You're feeling overwhelmed. I'm hoping there's not too much of a reflection on that and that you can see the card here. And this is coming up in your difficult influences. And what it's telling me is there's something that you need to let go of. And perhaps that's why you've been looking at the ancestors, the oak tree in the past, in order to be able to make changes and shifts when it comes to water, because you're being detrimentally affected in some way by water in your life, whether that be potentially mold, flooding, a mucky road, whatever the case may be. Water is somehow really, really playing a role in your life right now. You also have the King of Cups here in your difficult influences. And the King of Cups is about having a trusted friend or advisor or mentor, and someone that you can rely upon. And it's coming up in your difficult influences along with you feeling burdened. Translation: The person that you thought that you could always rely on has just kind of said to you, no, you need to do your own work. Is that a bad thing, Libra? No, actually, it's not. Because what can happen, and this is what's coming up for me intuitively, what can happen is sometimes if we do have a trusted friend, advisor, or mentor, is we can become too reliant on them, thus creating a burden on them. And if we do that, then they in turn push that burden back upon us. And I kind of sense that's what's going on here. And that's why you've got this 10 of Wands in reverse coming up with this King of Cups. Because they're coming up in difficult influences. And so I think some of what the message is here, you are this wise leader. You're taking some risks. You are knowledgeable. You're looking to the past and to the ancestors for the purposes of learning in order to be able to move forward. You're exploring water for some reason, the lifeblood of our planet, literally. And you're looking at making some changes, but in so doing, you may be relying heavily upon a mentor or spiritual advisor. And thus you're putting a burden on them, which they are in turn putting back on you. Right? I'm getting this sense of this back and forth that's happening. In your this makes sense, you have the Hanged Man. This is the Awakening card. This is the card of see things from a different perspective. Right? If we hang upside down like we used to as kids on the playground, on the monkey bars, wrap your legs around the monkey bars and flip yourself upside down, the whole world is seen from a different perspective. And that's what you're being asked to do right now. And that makes perfect sense with the cards that are coming up. And like I said, this is the card that makes sense. You're at this point where I really want to say, Libra, it feels like there's something that you're not taking responsibility for, and you're not seeing that you're not taking responsibility for. You're looking to others to take responsibility for some things that you can also take responsibility for. And one of the messages that's coming in for me right now is sometimes we look outside of ourselves for change, not realizing that we can begin to make the changes ourselves. And some people go, oh, well, me just turning the tap off while I'm brushing my teeth isn't going to save the planet. It's not going to save enough water. Why should I? What needs to happen is those big companies that are out there need to stop wasting water, need to stop polluting. We need to shut down nuclear energy because they're contaminating the water with radiation. And we need to shut down, and so there's this feeling or this sense that because they are polluting more water or wasting more water, that we don't need to take responsibility in our own lives. And the reality is that when we take responsibility for our own lives, we demonstrate to others the responsibility that they too need to take, right? We become that wise leader. And that includes something as simple as turning the water off while you're brushing your teeth, right? And I'm just using this as an example, just because you had the water come up here, Libra, but it's the little things that we do as the quote unquote little people that add up and begin to make a big difference. And if we're demonstrating that in our lives, who's to say that at some point, maybe, I don't know, maybe you start dating somebody from one of the big oil companies that was wasting a bunch of water, and they see and recognize these little steps that you're taking in order to be able to help with the lifeblood of the planet. And all of a sudden that awakens something in them. That's what being the wise leader is about. Do you see how it's kind of coming full circle here? So Libra, I'm really sensing that there is something huge, something really big that you're on the verge of stepping into. That's why you've got this take risk and the great adventures card here. There's something huge that you're about to step into. I don't know what it is yet. I can't quite narrow it down, but it's big. But it starts with you taking those little steps and being the wise leader and demonstrating. And other people are going to follow you in your unexpected. What did I just say? I said, you're supposed to be the wise leader. Other people are going to follow you. Yeah, you've got the card here. Be the light, Libra. This is a card of being a leader. You also have the shaman. Shamans are leaders. And the shaman is about trusting in higher forces, trusting that there is a bigger game at play. There's something else going on that's bigger outside of ourselves. But when we take responsibility for our own actions, no matter how small and minute those actions may appear to be, in the grand scheme of things, it can actually be something big. So think of the butterfly effect. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the butterfly effect, look it up. It's absolutely fascinating that a butterfly on the other side of the world could flap its wings and cause a little ripple of water on a pond that can then in turn affect something else, that then in turn affects something else. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it actually affects everything potentially on our planet and out into our universe, right? So the small things really do matter. Trust in the higher forces right now, Libra. This is in your unexpected. You have take time to reflect. This makes sense because it's in perfect alignment with the oak tree and the ancestors, that you do need to take time to reflect. But I also want to point out that this is the mirror guardian. What does the mirror guardian remind us of? We are a reflection of what we are putting out into the world. Libra, out of all of the zodiac signs, you should know this because you're all about balance, right? And if you want to see what's balanced in the world, look in the mirror. Because if your world is unbalanced, is because you're putting something else out there that is not resonating and not creating that balance. And like I said, also in your unexpected, you've got the White Witch. This is about be the light. This is a card of being a leader. Wise leader, White Witch, be the light. Okay. Let's look at your general overall outcome. General overall outcome. Okay. So in your general overall outcome, you have the 10 of Swords. 10 of Swords. This is yet another 10. Interesting. 10 comes down to 1. Libra, start watching May 15th through May 31st. Start watching for the number 1 coming up. Whether you see 11:11 on the clock when it's 11:11 during the day or in the evening, whether you're seeing 1:11, whether you're seeing ones pop up, I think it's really ones and 10s. I think it's going to be really important. Pay attention to what you're doing when you see ones and 10s, because you did have the 10 of Wands come up. And now you have the 10 of Swords coming up. This is a card of rebirth. This is your general overall outcome for May 1st through May 31st. You are going through a huge rebirth. And I already said that with all of this. I sense that. You also have the Miser coming up. The Miser is the equivalent to the 4 of Rainbows, also known as the 4 of Pentacles. This is a card of making sure that things are balanced. The Miser asks us to make sure that what we have going out for money is less than what we have coming in. We need to make sure that our budget is balanced. Again, we've got balance coming in here for you, Libra. You have the Queen of Rainbows, also known as the Queen of Pentacles. This is a flowering card. This is a card of coming into our own and blooming and being really, really beautiful in what we put out there going forward. And interestingly, you also have the Page of Pentacles. Okay, so in your general overall outcome, you have 3 Pentacles cards or Rainbows cards here. What this is telling me is that in some way, shape, or form, whatever's going on here, that you are coming into your own with, Libra, when you begin to see it from a different perspective with this Awakening or Hanged Man card, people are going to look up to you for advice. Most likely in your job, career, or when it comes to money. Make sure that you're balancing your money. Flowering is coming. Good things are coming to you, but you are going to have to take time to slow down and reflect upon what's happening. And now this is at the outcome, general overall outcome. And so what this is telling me is that by the end of May, you'll be at a point where you have a lot of clarity about what this is about. And you'll be at that point where you're going to want to take time to reflect, slow down a little bit, and really, really get clear on your next steps forward. Okay, Libra. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you'll join me again at the beginning of June for your next reading. Take care, everyone.